Hello, my name is Sarah Murimi and I'm a clinical psychologist. September is Suicide Prevention Month, and I would like for us to talk briefly about suicide. I'd like to first of all give you a few facts on suicide. Did you know that in the 12 to 15 minutes that it will take for you to listen to this presentation, one person will have died by suicide? Globally, there are about 700,000 deaths per year of completed suicide. For every complete suicide, there are 100 other attempts of suicide. And one previous attempt of suicide is always a risk factor for a follow-up or a repeat attempt at suicide. Amongst the 15 to 29-year-olds, suicide is the fourth leading cause of death for them. And then 77% of these completed suicide cases are in low to middle income countries. Those numbers are shocking, and it behooves us to talk about suicide. Now, first of all, who is at risk for completing or attempting suicide? On one hand, there are those who have planned to commit suicide. They'll have had long-term depression, which is brought on by life challenges. Maybe they have toyed with the idea for quite a while. And then on the other hand, there are incidents of impulsivity in moments of weakness or moments of crisis, a breakdown in the ability to deal with life stresses. We once had an incident where we noticed or we witnessed a young man who jumped on into the middle of the road, and while we were watching, he went under a 16-wheeler truck in the broad daylight. Following up on the case, it was said that he decided to commit suicide because he had broken up with his girlfriend. They were caught in a love triangle. So I would think that in that moment, it's a moment of breakdown in the ability to deal with the stresses of that particular moment. It could be financial problems, relationship challenges, chronic pain, or illnesses. Mental health is not always talked about in these cases, simply because things about mental health, suicide are still a stigma in our society. And that is the one big challenge in addressing suicide. The stigma surrounding mental health means that those who have suicide ideation are not seeking or getting the help that they need. They are not able to reach out to people. They are not able to get the resources that they need to help them to navigate those challenges that they are going through. So when you hear that mental health professionals are going out to the government to ask for the decriminalization of suicide, it's because if it's decriminalized, then we'll be able to talk more about it. We'll be able to address the challenges which are there. It will not that it will no longer be a taboo, but we will open dialogue about it. Resources will be made available for those people who are seeking help. Families will be able to reach out to one another and talk. Suicide prevention has not been addressed adequately due to lack of awareness or even recognition that suicide is a major public health challenge. Secondly, it is still a taboo in many societies to openly discuss it. When we say that somebody has committed suicide, the mental health professions are moving to say that it is not committing suicide, because things which are committed, it's something like a crime or a sin. And we wouldn't want to get into the religious aspect of it, but the crime part of it, when somebody commits suicide, it's because they feel that in that moment they do not have the resources to deal with whatever that they are dealing with. If it's depression that they are going through, if it's caused by financial challenges, they do not have the capacity, and they do not have anyone to talk about it, because if they had someone to talk about it with, then they would not have that option or see that taking their own life is the only option that they have. And that in itself is not a crime, because if you criminalize it, then that means that people are not able to talk to other people about it. it means that they will not be able to get the help that they need. So it is necessary to decriminalize it so that we can open avenues for discussion. We can open the dialogue that's needed. We can increase the resources that people need. And in that effect, we want also to be talking more about mental health because it is at the core of our society. I'd say that as a therapist, I don't only work with people who have retardation. We're talking about mothers and fathers and daughters and sons and teachers, nurses, the common people in our society. And if you say that those people cannot talk to, should not look for help, then we have a society that is weak. We have people who are not living up to their potential. So it is very necessary that suicide is decriminalized. People have better ways of talking about this, and essentially, avenues should be opened about talking about it. Now, globally, only a few countries have included suicide prevention amongst their public health priorities, which is very sad. Consider the fact that of all the countries in the world, only 38 have an active suicide prevention strategies. It means that the rest of us, we don't talk about it. It means that the rest of us have turned a blind eye to it. And when that happens, it means that the cream of society, or the people who should be building our communities to be better, those are the ones who are succumbing to those to committing or death by suicide. Uh, what can we as a society do about this? While we wait for policymakers and other stakeholders to come up with solutions and to decriminalize and to make policies, while we wait for them to reach that level, I would like to move to propose to you as part of a society that we practice kindness. I know that it sounds feeble. I know that it sounds like it's not a big deal, but imagine that somebody is planning in their head, or they have suicide ideation. They are thinking, I have come to the end of things. I do not have anything else to do. I don't have any more options. I don't have resources. And then here comes one person and they practice empathy with them. Empathy says that I'm willing to come down to your level and understand what you're going through. In that one moment that one person has agreed to come down to their level and listen to them and see things from their perspective, that can be the one moment that changes their life. That one moment of somebody saying, I will listen, that is the one moment that can mean, life or death. So I'd like to move to you that while we push for societies for policymakers, while we wait on them to make the big changes, we as a society, me as a mother, you as a father, you as a friend, look out for those signs that say that this person is struggling. If you see them that they have lost interest in the things that they've been doing, if you see that maybe they're eating too much or eating too little, or there are certain changes, because mental illness, unfortunately, is a disease that has no, I would say, visible symptoms, like you see a wound or somebody says their head is aching. When you hear those physical signs, it means that the physical has been, I mean, the psyche has been crashing for a long time. Those invisible symptoms, if we could learn to look out for them and be able to, because if this person is your friend, then you have known them for quite a while. So you would know when they have changed. Look out for signs of how they are talking. Are they talking differently? Are they eating differently? They may seem lazier to you than normal, or they may seem busier than normal. Take a moment to ask, how are you doing? And genuinely want to understand their side of a story. If we practice kindness, if we practice empathy, it is more likely that this person who is planning or is thinking of suicide will calm down and postpone it. And in that moment of postponing, that will be the moment that you could have saved a life, could have saved a family, changed somebody else's destiny. So, in conclusion, I would like to say that we practice we practice empathy, we practice kindness, and we be one another's keeper, because that is the only way that we will be able to keep each other as a society. Let us be our brother's keeper, let us be our sister's keeper, and that would be the first step in suicide prevention in our communities. While we wait for the big guys up there to make the big decisions, while we wait for the doctors to be able to, and the psychologists and the therapists to come down to our level, let us do our part by watching out for each other. Thank you very much.